welcome to the show. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up today. So great to see everybody. I wanted to do a video today, and I wanted to dedicate it to all of the XJWs out there, because I know we've been given a bum rap. And yes, that's a shout out to somebody who watches my videos, who I think is a fantastic person. So I think we've been given a real bum job, or whatever you want to call it. And you'll hear more about this later. But the first thing I wanted to do is just show you some of the kookiness that's been going on within JW.org. The thing is, most Jehovah's Witnesses don't see what I'm about to show you. And that is leaked videos of things that elders are shown, how they're supposed to act, how they're supposed to counsel people, and leaked videos to Bethel members. And Dr. Phil even is on it. There's been so much going on, and it's just getting kookier all the time. But I wanted to show you so that you can have an idea of what really goes on behind the scenes at JW.org.
Some outfits are designed to feminize a man's appearance, as homosexuals try to do, especially displaying the buttocks and genitals.
I've always had the attitude, if I go somewhere and my wife and family aren't welcome, then I'm not welcome. And if somebody tells me that I am to shun my wife and children, they can kiss my ass.
The buttocks and genitals.
And I don't care if it's a church or the government or.
There's this famous doctor you know who says thus and so. You know what I say? Whoopee. So here in Trinidad, Tobago, Guyana, there'll be dead people everywhere. Oh yeah. It's going to shake you up. You're probably going to be down on your knees. But that's what's coming. It's a reality.
God's kingdom has been ruling in the heavens, as we've discussed during this convention, for 100 years. And it has produced tremendous effects, tremendous results. In fact, there is more evidence confirming the existence of the kingdom than the evidence that would convince us that there's gravity, electricity, wind.
She tries to keep a good attitude, but physically she's struggling with the schedule. That's about it. I feel sorry for her. But her group overseer says it doesn't look like things will change anytime soon.
Well, thank you very much for that review. I noticed that the May 15th letter directs that we obtain comments from the group overseers, so I was glad to hear that you were able to do that. Well, what do you brothers think?
Well, doing the math, 50 hours a month would mean that at the end of the service year she would only have about 600 hours. And as Jeff mentioned, it doesn't seem like her energy level is going to bounce back in the foreseeable future.
Steve, doesn't the letter say something about making allowance for a pioneer who does not reach the 840-hour requirements for the year?
Yes, but it wasn't addressing a pioneer that falls this far short. In paragraph 15 it says,
And young men, they're wearing these tight suits. The suit jacket's tight, and then the pants are tight all the way down.
Especially displaying the buttocks and genitals.
I'm a big guy. And some say, well, you wouldn't look good in one anyway. That's why you don't want one, you know. Sorry, buddy. I would never disrespect my Heavenly Father and dress like that. No.
Suppose a brother starts rubbing his genitals against a pillow. He gets an erection, but stops before having an orgasm.
The male animal has no season in which he is not willing to engage in the breeding act.
Could you have been sleeping in a position that stimulated you, such as with a blanket or pillow held tightly between your legs?
When we first started asking questions for people getting baptized, the theme of that book was based on this verse. We used to call it the lamp book. And what a wise decision to go over all these questions so people can't say after they're baptized, well, I didn't know what I was doing. The elders said, no, they were conscious when we talked to them and asked the questions.
Even if there is no skin-to-skin contact.
A brother sits on the lap of one of his male friends. Two brothers masturbate in front of each other, but without touching each other. She grinds her clothed genitals on his leg while he's fully clothed. He becomes aroused, but doesn't ejaculate.
Be honest with yourself and Jehovah about your weaknesses. We pray for Jehovah's continued blessing on you.
Wasn't that crazy? I call it my collage of culty kookiness. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. I could make a video for every one of those things. And I might just do that. But I wanted to just showcase some of the wackiness that's going on within the organization and what's going on behind the scenes. Things that most Jehovah's Witnesses aren't privy to. And I just find, as I've said before, that JW.org are their own worst enemies. You know, what they say in their publications, what they put out in their videos, you know, from their ice cream grabs to their tight pant rants. I don't know who their PR person is, but it's not a woman. Not to put men down, of course. But there's a sensibility, or sensibleness, I guess is the word, that is lacking, definitely lacking. So this is what's going on, and people are waking up. They see these kinds of things and they're like, this is insane. This doesn't make any sense, you know? And I know I missed out on things too in that little collage of kookiness. The faith leaks is another thing that is not so funny. There was a website called Mormon Leaks, which was done by ex-Mormons. And they were putting together things that were damning against their own organization that they thought people should see. And a lot of other cults came along and said, you know, we have a lot of outrageous things that go on too that people need to know about. And the first thing they chose to put on their Faith Leaks, which was a new website they put up, was a Jehovah's Witness story. And it was quite atrocious. It was basically a story of abuse of a Jehovah's Witness father who was in good standing, who was abusing his daughters. And I didn't read at all the letters. There were the elders' letters that you could read if you choose to. I did have a summary of it though, so I kind of know what went on. I just don't have a stomach for reading about abuse that went on. It's so, yeah, that's just a topic I really bothers me. But at any rate, it's the way the elders handled it that was so disturbing. The fact that they showed so much more concern for the abuser and such little regard for the victims, it just blows you away. It's just hard to believe that this is Jehovah's organization. It just screams that it is not. And you think, oh, well, that's just one case, you know. No, it's not. The fact is that time after time after time, whenever we find out about anything that went on, it's always outrageous and always unbelievable how the elders handled it. So it's these kinds of things that are waking people up. I'm going to put all the links to these videos and so forth below, so you can have a look at it for yourself. But don't just take my word for it, but although you should. But anyways, so you can have a look at it for yourself. But as people find out the truth about the truth, yes, I'm doing air quotes. I know some people don't like it, but I'm going to do it. It's pretty devastating. And the reason is that when you leave the organization, there's so much to lose. I mean, many people end up losing their families. Most end up losing both their families and their friends, and your good reputation, and your whole belief system. And it's almost like it follows the 5 stages of grief, which I can't remember what exactly they are right now, but basically, you go from shock to hurt, to feeling the pain of it and the crying that ensues, and then maybe there's anger that follows that, and then there's depression, and then slowly you start accepting it. But that's kind of what happens when you leave the organization. There's stages that you go through, and it's quite painful. But what makes it even harder is knowing that the organization paints people who leave as being bitter. Bitterness might be one of those stages. You might very well go through a stage of anger and bitterness. And you know what? It's fully justified, because when you find out an organization has been lying to you, when you find out that everything you've believed in your whole life was a lie, when you have your family taken away from you and held as hostages for you to return, it makes you angry. Who likes to be messed up like that? No one likes to be taken advantage of. No one likes to be lied to. And if you're a Jehovah's Witness watching this, let me ask you, do you like to be lied to and taken advantage of? Do you like to have someone take your family away from you and pitch you as a horrible, slanderous person? The worst thing you could possibly be called when you're a Jehovah's Witness is an apostate. We'd rather be called a whore. You'd rather be called the worst names out there, but apostate is like the worst thing you could pretty much call somebody when you're a Jehovah's Witness. And they choose to resort to name calling, and they choose to call us bitter. If you did a search on the Society CD for the word bitter, you're going to find hundreds of instances where they refer to people who left as bitter. But as I said, I think there's every reason to believe that this is fully justified. But have a look at this picture here from the Revelation book. So we see from the picture that those who leave are painted as working alongside the devil, and we're attacking God's people, and we look like angry hippies with sticks. The truth is, we're not out to get them. We were once one of them. So we totally understand what it feels like to be a Jehovah's Witness. We know what they're thinking. We know where they're coming from. As I mentioned earlier, most of us have family and friends still in the organization. So the very last thing we want to do is hurt these individuals. We love them, and we still want to be with them, despite the fact that many of them have been quite slanderous to us. Maybe not so much family, I don't know, but I have seen things that, text messages that family members have sent to their own children, for example. And some of the things are so nasty. One sister actually said about her grown son when he left, that when she's in the new system, she's going to have a new child, and she'll call it his name, and Jehovah will have her forget all about him. I mean, what a hurtful thing for someone to say. We're not out to get them at all. We love our family members, and I'm not an overly proud person. I'll admit if I'm wrong. If there was any grain of truth to what the Jehovah's Witness organization has, I'd happily go back. I value my life. I value my son's life and my husband's life. I'd be more than happy to say, you know what? I was wrong. You were right. Now, where's the eternal everlasting life? Promised. But they'll say, what Jehovah's Witnesses will say is, we don't shun you. You shun us. You're the one who changed. You're the one who has a new belief system. You rejected us. These are the kind of things that they're going to say. But then what about Alice? Okay. This is from the February 2016 Watchtower Study Edition. Alice is a person who is described there in paragraph 11 as studying with the witnesses, studying the Bible. Look what's highlighted there. It says, Alice told members of her family that she would not be celebrating Christmas with them. She explained the reasons, but their mild concern gradually turned into bitter anger. They felt that she was turning her back on her family. Says Alice, my mother finally said that she disowned me. I was shocked and deeply hurt because I really loved my family. Nevertheless, I resolved that Jehovah and his son would be first in my heart, and I got baptized at the next assembly. So Alice here is basically being praised for changing her beliefs. But she's the one who changed, and yet she's not being portrayed as bitter or angry. No, they say that the family is the one who's bitter and angry. You know, JW.org shows no concern at all for the beliefs or any customs that people might have. They're just supposed to get over it. And if they don't, they're portrayed as angry and bitter and horrible people. The thing that's kind of sad is that when children grow up and move away, the only time they may actually see their family is at times like Christmas time. So they may only see their kids like once a year. And now these kids are saying, hey, we don't celebrate Christmas anymore. Get over it. I'm not going to visit you. And in fact, the only time I will ever call you, or the only time I really want you to call me, is if you fall and hurt yourself or if you have to go to the hospital. Otherwise, I don't really want much to do with you anymore. That's basically, I mean, they don't actually say that, but that is basically what they say. They'll say, we have nothing in common anymore. I don't have to see you. And out of obligation, I'll be there for you if you need me. But otherwise, I want nothing to do with you. I mean, what kind of a person does that to their own mother or father? I just find that sickening. Yes, you're technically respecting them, but then how are you different from what the Pharisees would do? You're following the letter of the law, but where's the love? Where's the kindness? And it also bothers me that Jehovah's Witnesses here have such a huge double standard. They're allowed to change their beliefs. They're allowed to say whatever horrible thing they want about their former religion. Oh, I used to be a Catholic. What a horrible, crappy religion that is. You know, they can say whatever they want. They can change their beliefs. They're free to say whatever they want, whatever hateful thing it might be. And they're praised for doing this. Oh, look what you left behind. Good for you, you know? And we are just supposed to get over it and accept it. But perish forbid if we leave their organization, if we leave the organization that we were brought up in. And heaven forbid if you actually say something critical about it. No, that's when you are portrayed as bitter and angry. It's a total double standard. That makes absolutely no sense. And when we do leave the religion that we were brought up in, we're called bitter and angry. Now, check out this interview here, because this shows a totally different perspective. And actually, it shows the perspective of what generally happens when people leave the organization. This is an interview that Lloyd Evans did with somebody who was a former Bethelite and governing body helper, and his name is Howie Rutledge. And his story is very interesting. I actually spoke to Howie, and he's the sweetest, kindest person, and he's very happy with his life now. But you're going to see, he tells his story in this interview, and I'm going to post a link so you can see the whole thing, because it's a fantastic interview that I've actually watched a few times. But what he has to say, I'll just lay the groundwork before I show you the clip. So he was serving as a helper to Brother Klein, Carl Klein, who you may remember he's now passed away, like everybody else is going to in Jehovah's Witness organization. But he was a governing body member when I was a kid, and he basically was like the cane for Brother Klein. He had to help him around, but a silent cane, you know, just like a cane, he had to be silent. But he was privy to things that went on at the governing body, right? At meetings, he'd be present. And he would open up Brother Klein's letters and read them to him. And he saw things that started disturbing him. One thing he saw was about evolution. And so he said to Brother Klein, can you, actually, it was either him or Brother Schroeder he went to. But anyways, one of the governing body members, he said, I want to read a book by a scientist who believes in creation. Because as you may or may not know, most scientists do not accept creation, but rather evolution. And Brother Schroeder recommended him this book. And he read the book I think it's by Michael Denton. And he didn't find it very convincing. So he thought, I'd like to actually read a book written by a scientist who says it from the other side. Now, what do the scientists say about why they feel there is evolution? And he stumbled across a book at the New York Library by Richard Dawkins, who, in case you don't know, is a biologist, and he's a fantastic author. And this is what ended up waking him up. So I'm going to show you the clip now.
At one point, though, I sat on the floor sobbing in the library. I mean, just tears coming to my eyes, because I realized that what I believed wasn't real. And that my whole life had been a waste.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, it is a profound moment.
It is, because the gay 14-year-old boy was still there. And I have been such a failure at overcoming that. And I had carried so much guilt all of my life because of what I felt I was, as something unnatural, an abomination, and that I couldn't cure myself. I was so disappointed with myself, and even steps I had tried so hard. And then I started to come to the realization that I would never change, that perhaps then a new world cure was the only hope for me, and I would just have to continue with this thorn in my flesh. But then when I read something that so completely was so alien to everything that I had known before, and was so mind-opening, even though I didn't grasp everything, I knew what I was on the cuspice of here. I knew what I was on the verge of with this. And it was the unraveling of everything I had known. And that all those years before, I was living under a created delusion.
So I found that interview that Howie gave to be so very moving. I actually cried when I watched it. It's because I could relate to it. That is how so many of us feel when we leave. We feel like we were part of a community. We felt like we were making the world a better place. We felt like we were helping people. We were with our family, with our friends, and we were looking forward to a paradise earth. And then we realized that it's all based on lies, told by liars who are perpetrating this lie. And it suits them to portray anybody who leaves as a horrible person who's out to get you with a stick, looking like a hippie. You know, it suits them very well to do this because fear motivates people. Yet we are not at all like that, as you can see from the way Howie was, and as you can see from the way I am, and I'm sure you've possibly watched other videos. We're actually here to help people to get out of this cult that is controlling them. And it's hard for us to see this, but we want to help people. And this is what motivates me to want to do something, because I feel that I don't want people to have to go through what I went through. So I like to be an activist for it. I know there's all kinds of people that comment on my videos. Why do you do this? Why don't you move on? You know, because you know what? I'm an expert when it comes to JW.org. I'm not an expert when it comes to Muslim matters or wars that are happening in the world. I was a Jehovah's Witness for 30 years. I know that, and I know how people, I know what goes on within the organization, and I feel I know how I can help people. And this is what I choose to do. And it makes me feel good. To me, it's a win-win. And if you are somebody who's leaving or contemplating leaving, and you might be afraid because you feel like you were part of a community and now you don't know where you belong or where you'd fit in, well, there's a whole XJW community out there full of fantastic people who are hurt. Some of them, yes, are angry. We go through different phases, but we're all here in this together, and we're all here to help one another. And we respect so much those who come out because we know how difficult it can be. And there's so many things that you can do if you choose to. Now, no one is going to judge you in any way if you decide to do nothing. There's some people who simply need to lick their wounds and move on. And that is perfectly fantastic. If you're able to just close the door and move on, great. If you choose to try to help others, fantastic. And there's a lot of things that you can get involved with. Like, for example, there's TV shows being made about JW.org to expose some of the things that go on. There's a lot of activists right now that are doing shows, like Dr. Phil, like W5. That's I don't know if you don't know who W5 is, but that's basically like the 60 Minutes of Canada. And there's all kinds of people doing things. There's court cases going on around the world. There's cart crashes. People are doing videos showing what really goes on when you talk to a Jehovah's Witness at a cart. There's Kingdom Hall crashes going on, and there was the Warwick protest, and I know there's other protests being planned if you want to be part of that. There's definitely people that you can contact. There's the whole Facebook community. I think there's like a Reddit community as well, and other. I'm sure there's other XJW ways to get a hold of people on other social media platforms as well. And there's just so much going on that if you want to be part of it, there's certainly room for you. You know, there's how's that scripture go? The fields are white for harvesting. or something like that. Anyways, all this to say that, yeah, if you just keep one thing in mind, keep it respectful. As I said, we are all in different stages of grief after leaving JW.org. And some do pass through the angry phase. No, there's absolutely no doubt about that. I know I did. And it's important to keep in mind that when you're dealing with Jehovah's Witnesses who are still trapped in this organization, you always want to be respectful of them. And the best way to help people is to be that way. So if you are going to do a Kingdom Hall crash, be mindful of the laws within your community, within your country, and be mindful of the fact that it helps people when you can be respectful to them and treat them with dignity. And that's what I wanted to say today. So I hope you found some benefit to my video today, and I wish all of you the best, and I'll look forward to speaking with you and seeing you in the future. Thanks again. Bye-bye.